Hey guys, so yesterday I purchased the brand spanking new Diorskin Star Foundation, and today we're going to do a first impressions video where I check back throughout the day. You guys have seen these kind of reviews from It's Duty Time and Shine XO. I want to be in on the party. I did a quick Google and I actually couldn't find much information yet, but I do believe that it should be hitting counters any day now, and for once Australia is not 6 months behind, it is on our counters, so woot! So from what I recall, there is a decent shade range, about 10 shades if I may hazard a guess, and most of those shades run quite golden. I purchased the shade 020, which I hope will be a good match. Do you guys want to hear the Dior blurb on this foundation? It's mostly marketing rubbish, but let's do it for the lulz. Boasting light pulsion technology, a new generation of hollow silica beads captures and diffuses light in a correcting halo with no shine. An inclusion of anti-light trap skincare ingredients. What does that even mean? So we got a pump. That's good. The consistency is moderately viscous, so it's not as thin as, say, Chanel Vita Lumiere Aqua. I'm going to apply a light layer over half of my face, and I'm just using my fingers because I want that whole tactile experience. FYI, I'm not wearing any primer today because I really want to determine how the foundation wears alone, so I'm just using this over my regular moisturizer. Let's quickly talk about price. This retails for 77 Australian dollars and 50 USD. Yep. So that's half of my face done with a light layer, and I would eyeball this coverage at about medium buildable, which I actually really like because you can sheer it out if you want to, or you can build it up to a fuller coverage. I do think that you could achieve a full coverage with this foundation. For the other side of my face, I'm actually going to use a beauty blender just to see how they compare. Oh, well, that's much quicker. Actually, I think that this applies much nicer with a beauty blender. It's really pushing the product into the skin so that it looks far less detectable. If you're anti-fragrance, this does have a sort of perfume smell. It's that typical floral Dior situation. Okay, so that is a light layer over my entire face. I used just under a pump, which is probably more than I would normally do, but I wanted to do that for the purpose of this review. The way that it looks on the skin, I would say that it's quite forgiving on texture if you have any textured areas, and the pores on my nose definitely look reduced, and I would put that down to the high silicone content of this foundation. I am noticing a little bit of settling around the nose, but the good news is I'm a little bit flaky today and it hasn't caught on any flakes, so that's good. So let's quickly talk about shade. I'm not sure if you guys can see this on camera, but I would say that this shade is probably just a tad too dark for me and a tad too golden because I'm a little bit more olive. So I would eyeball the 020 as an NC25 perhaps, with a more golden undertone than myself. In terms of the finish, I'm still noticing a little bit of tackiness, but it's not particularly shiny. I don't know how it looks on the camera, but in person it's not particularly shiny. I would call it a satin, not matte, not dewy, it's just that sort of nice medium. Just before I go any further, I'm going to add some quick concealer under my eyes because I had a late night last night. I was watching Godzilla. Okay, the other thing that I noticed is that this foundation has an SPF of 30. So now I'm going to take that god-awful flash shot so we can see how it photographs. The flashback appears to be negligible, but I'm not sure that this foundation is the most flattering in flash photography. So as you can probably tell, I've gone ahead and applied the rest of my makeup. This is just my easy, messy go-to look. I did add a touch of powder on my nose, which is something that I would normally do on a long day. I also added some contour so we can see how the cheek color wears. It is currently 12:17. It's a Sunday, okay? I slept in. I will report back in a few hours. So we are back and it is now 6 p.m. So 6 hours since I applied the Diorskin Star. I actually think that I prefer the way that it looks now. When I first applied it, I felt as though I could see makeup on the skin, whereas now it seems to have sinked in a little bit, melted in the nicest way possible. Also, I'm going to make a bold statement here. I think that this might be one of the most long-wearing foundations that I've encountered. Generally, by this point of the day, the foundation around my nose would have started to have worn off and I'd be getting a bit of redness there. But it looks perfectly intact. My contour looks freshly applied, despite the fact that I may or may not have had a cheeky little nap there. I have no shine on my T-zone. It seems to be holding up really well. Also, I did notice a bit of oxidizing, so my foundation got a little bit darker and a little bit warmer in, say, the first hour of wear. So this is definitely one where you test it for the entire day, or preferably get a sample before you purchase it, just so you're not surprised with some sort of Oompa Loompa situation. I'm going to see exactly how long this foundation will wear, so I will be back again in a few more hours. So it is now 10:34 p.m. So I've been wearing Diorskin Star for over 10 hours now. I'm just starting to notice that there is a bit of product breaking up around the crevice of my nose, but not in an oily way. It looks a little bit dehydrated there. In terms of oil control, I have developed very little shine in the T-zone, if any at all, and I did not blot or powder once. Now, I don't have an oily skin type. I'm more in the normal spectrum, but that's even unusual for me, so I maintain this is a really long-lasting foundation. So let's round up my thoughts on the Diorskin Star Foundation. The things that I like: number one, very long-lasting. I foresee this being a great option for those of you who are a bit oilier or perhaps are prone to longevity issues. Also, the coverage, it's really versatile. You can shear it out for every day or build it up for a fuller, more flawless coverage. I'm also really impressed that it didn't emphasize the flakiness. I've got a bit around my nose and a bit on my chin, so if you're flaky, that's good news. Would I say that this is a super natural second skin foundation? Probably not, and that's really my only beef with this product. I prefer my foundation to look near invisible. I don't really want to see any product on the skin. So just for the lols, I asked my boyfriend if he could see anything on my skin, and he said that he could. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not fussed about what men think, but here's my control perspective. He's kind of the everyday person on the street, whereas I am that super fussy makeup addict, you know? I will experiment with different application techniques and different primers, and I'll let you know if I find anything that works better. But for now, I give this foundation a 3 out of 5, which is actually a pretty good mark because, as I said, I am so fussy about foundation. So now I would like to know, did you enjoy this foundation review? Would you like to see more reviews like this? And if so, what foundations would you like me to review? Let me know in the comment section down below. I am all ears. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye-bye.